You're listening to the Travis Makes Money podcast presented by GoHighLevel.com. For a free 30-day trial of the best all-in-one digital marketing software tool on the planet, just go to GoHighLevel.com/Travis. What's going on, moneymakers? Travis here. This episode of the show is going to be a little bit different. Basically what happened was I ended up interviewing Ben Higgins, who is the former Bachelor. He's got millions of followers across all of his social media channels, done really, really well post-Bachelor. And so I talked to him on my other podcast, Travis Makes Friends. We talked about his experience on The Bachelor and some of those other cool things that happened on the show and his entire journey throughout that process, which you can find on the Travis Makes Friends podcast. But towards the end of the conversation, we talked about how he was able to bridge the gap after he was done with the show to continue making a career out of all this stuff that he was able to build during the show. And what was super interesting is that he actually kept his job doing through most of the production of the show, even post-show, even as The Bachelor, which is pretty crazy. So we talked a little bit about how he was able to leave that, the business operations that he has going, and then the ventures that he's working on now. I thought it was really, really insightful. And so I figured, hey, why not share this piece of the conversation on the Travis Makes Money podcast for those of you who are interested in making more money. So please enjoy this snippet from my conversation with Ben Higgins. And if you like this piece, be sure to go over to the Travis Makes Friends podcast, wherever you're listening to podcasts right now, and check out the full conversation with Ben. After the show, you go back into software.
Go back into software.
You didn't trust because you had to be making, from what I understand, when you're on The Bachelorette, you do not get paid.
No.
When you are The Bachelor, you do get paid.
Yeah, but not enough to retire from.
Right.
Goodness.
And this was
not enough to really live a year off of.
Again, 2016, 2017,
yeah.
Being an influencer wasn't what it is now.
Good. No.
At that point. It wasn't as fully fleshed out as a career option.
No. I think for the women it was.
Okay.
Some of the women on the season that I was on did really well. And Caitlin was kind of doing pretty well. But even today, I mean, for somebody that's not, selling some or promoting some of the products that women can promote, it's harder. But they were starting to figure it out. It felt like the skincare stuff and I remember what was it? Some of the flat tummy tea or some hair gummy for that hair growth or something was big.
Sure. Well, and I gotta imagine the majority of the demographic that watches The Bachelor is women. Yeah.
That's why. I mean, most of the people that watch it and then the people that want to follow. But it wasn't. And so I think I went back to software for a couple reasons. One, at the time you get off the show and nobody's throwing money at you. You're not getting off the show and they're like, hey, come host this massive game show.
Right.
And if you look historically at the Bachelors before me, very few were hosting or doing anything in entertainment.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean is you guys kind of came in, you maybe a couple seasons before you, but before that, before social existed, you go on The Bachelor and then you go back to regular life.
Go back to regular life. Yeah. You maybe, like I said, come to a nightclub and get paid, a few grand to do it. And you do that for as long as you can until you're no longer asked to come there. And I think I was seeing it through that lens of this is a flame. I remember on the last season or last episode of my season, it was live and we had the show had ran short and we had 15 seconds to fill. And so Chris looks at me, the host of the time, and he says, Ben, anything you'd like to say? And I remember the first thing that came to mind was, thank you for letting me have this 15 minutes of fame. And I mean that. I meant that. I didn't know exactly. I think it lasted a lot longer than 15 minutes. It was bigger than I thought it was going to be. But I remember feeling this has been awesome, but this is now done. And I don't see, there's no picture of what this looks like post-show for me.
Yeah.
So I went back to have healthcare, to have a steady income. The software company asked me to go into sales, which was a great gift. And so I started to manage accounts across the country.
Okay.
Sales was a great role for a guy that had just gone off The Bachelor. People were interested in talking to me. Absolutely. It was pretty easy to take a phone call. And so I thought, hey, this is cool. This has opened up a whole new door for me that I didn't expect. But I went back to work because I didn't think this reality thing was sustainable. And still this day, I would pretty much argue with any lead that it's fleeting. And it's sustainable for a period of time, but that period of time also will go away.
Yeah. Yeah. So when did you feel like I'm good? I can leave this
software
job behind me and I think I'm all right.
Yeah, I got a couple hosting gigs. And then I got asked for My Heart Radio to host a show for them that I still do to this day called Almost Famous.
Yep.
And I remember I'd go into the supply closet at the company I was working for, and I'd record my podcast. And at that time, we were recording about 3 or 4 a week. And so it'd be about an hour,
Dang.
Most days of the work week.
3 or 4 a week from the supply closet.
Yeah, from the supply closet. And then after people started to get sick or tired of The Bachelor being at their office, they started to complain about, me doing what I was doing. And I remember,
so you finally had to come out of the closet.
Yeah, I had to come out of the closet and be like, "Hey, I'm leaving."
Yeah, we found our teaser.
I'm out.
We found our teaser. Yeah. That's the clip of the show right there.
I had to do it.
Ben Higgins comes out of the closet.
My wife, who's 8.5 months pregnant, is going to be like, "What?" But there was this weird dilemma where, still at that point, on Fridays I'd fly to LA and do some type of something on Saturdays and Sundays and fly back.
Okay.
And come into the office, And I remember just feeling like I was living 2 separate lives. And iHeart was paying me enough then for me to be okay. And then I had this dream of starting this company that I still run today.
Okay.
At that point too. And
this
so I was
coffee company?
The coffee company. So I was working at night, starting that up with a couple buddies. And it just kind of hit me one day like, hey, I'm stretched thin. Mm-hmm. And I now have a steady income and I can move on from software.
Got some money in the bank.
Yep.
From multiple streams of income throughout the years.
Yeah. I wasn't like crushing it.
Yeah.
But I was like, if worse comes to worse, I got 6 months to figure something out here. Mm-hmm. But software was no longer it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so running the company became that, taking gigs, hosting stuff.
Yeah. Hosting stuff, taking gigs, a lot more on social.
Yeah. The podcast,
saying yes to whatever I could.
Yeah.
I also have gotten, at that point in my life, I had invested into a restaurant group in Denver.
Okay.
That's still going to this day. And we have 24 restaurants and they're all across the country now. And so that was starting to look really good. Like that was starting to pay back.
Yeah.
So I had kind of used limited amounts of funds spread out across a lot of different areas of risk to say, I think I got this for a few months.
Smart thing to do, man.
Yeah. So,
I mean, props to you. I think a lot of people would not have had the discipline to go back and think about it from that perspective.
I guess it's the benefit of being single and young still, and not having a lot, of responsibility and having a lot of time at night. But the coffee company has never paid me a salary. It never will. So we donate 100% of our profits to nonprofits. And so my goal at the time was to have all these other, supplemental incomes coming in so that I could always work for Generous, which is the coffee company, for free. And we're 7 years in. It's worked to this point.
Nice.
Obviously now, like I said, with a baby on the way, like it's a whole new level of responsibility and risk.
Man.
But
Congrats.
We're going to try to make it work.
When did she do?
February 12th.
Man.
Dang. Soon.
That's coming
up. I shouldn't be here right now.
Yeah, it's an anytime thing now, basically. Yeah, That's wild. Do you know what's so funny? While we were talking, I remembered that we've met before. Yeah,
where?
In LA.
Okay.
At some Bachelor meetup thing. I'm blanking on who put it together, or I just remember there was a guy there who was dating. Gosh, I'm gonna forget her name now. She was on the Bachelor once or twice, and had made it down to the wire a couple of times. I think she's dating a girl now.
Becca Tilley.
Yes.
She was on my season. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Becca,
one of the most amazing people in the world.
Yeah. So awesome. I remember meeting her there and Ashley. There as well. As well as the twins.
Yeah. Wow, this had to be a throwback.
Yeah, I got to say. Oh, actually, I know exactly when it was. It was, coincidentally, it was 10 days before my father-in-law ended up passing. So it's kind of cemented in my head. But it was January of 2017, I want to say.
So I was still fresh.
Yeah. So it was like right when you were, coming off of.
Oh, that's amazing.
You and Lauren were there and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was while we're talking, I was like,
we've met.
Oh shit! I'll look it up as soon as we're done. But I definitely have a picture of me and my wife and you and Lauren and me and my wife and a couple of the other people that were there at the time.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, it's so funny because the guy that was dating Becca, was like doing some sort of like I think he was trying to help people who were in reality TV.
Oh, sure. I remember
have businesses or something like that.
Robert Graham.
Yeah. Yep. So I think it was some sort of an event to promote somebody's company or whatever. But we ended up having tickets because we lived close to LA at the time.
Okay.
In LA County.
Yeah.
And so we drove down to LA because I knew my wife would want to go. I surprised her with tickets or whatever. But yeah.
That's amazing. Funny. That's awesome.
Oh man, funny how stuff comes full circle because that would have been, I mean, we're in January of 25 now.
Yeah.
So that was
8 years ago.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
That was before I did
It's good to be back.
Podcast. Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
But yeah, dude. So now, what's like the big things that you're working on or thinking about?
Yeah, it's still the strategy of trying to find different areas to supplement Generous. So Generous to this day is 7 years in. We sell coffee, both wholesale and retail. It's why I'm in Vegas. I'm speaking at a conference out here about generosity.
Great.
We donate 100% of our profits to nonprofits, and so myself and the other owner will never get paid from it.
That's awesome. Man.
We're out of Warsaw, Indiana, where I'm from. We built a roaster there, and it's an incredible business with an incredible team, and so that's my main focus, and I hope it is to the day I die.
Yeah.
But because I don't get paid, I have to find other ways. So I still host a show for iHeart, Almost Famous.
How have you been enjoying that?
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. There's The Bachelor, and I've had, it's a long relationship at this point.
Yeah.
But I love the medium of podcasting. I love to get to talk to people about their stories.
I was going to say, as soon as you opened up with that, I was like, well, you're definitely a natural podcaster.
Yeah, it's great. It's such a cool world that I get to function in and get paid for.
Yeah.
The restaurants are still going great. I'm repping, not on purpose, but the Cali Water sweatshirt. So Cali Water is a company I'm heavily involved in now and invested into. And so mostly just trying to find areas in my life now where I trust the people, invest into their businesses. Yeah. Hopefully it grows, and hopefully do great things with it. But Generous, and then obviously, like I said, February 12th, my wife and I are having a little girl that we could not be more excited for, that I'm so terrified about. That
As she should be.
I should say she's so excited. She has this like a beautiful motherly like love already.
Yeah.
And I'm like watching the belly move, and I'm like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
But I know it's going to be amazing.
That dad thing definitely hits, like I think that's a common feeling, especially if you already kind of had those feelings like we've been talking about throughout the show.
Yeah.
It's like being a dad feels like that for sure, especially when you have a badass wife who is going to crush being a mom.
Yeah.
Like this is going to be a interesting challenge.
It's going to be wild. It still feels weird for me to even be talking about having a baby, like as I even say it, but that is a whole new beautiful season of life that will obviously change everything, but change in such a good way. Yeah. And it's making me buckle down a little bit, new responsibilities, new excitement, new opportunities. Mm-hmm. And I have this incredible wife, and we live in Denver.
How did you guys meet?
I messaged her on Instagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is wild because she wasn't an influencer. She was just a pretty girl on Instagram that I found her picture, and I said, "Hey, do you want to date me?" And she said, "No, but I'll give it a shot."
Did you say like?
No, I said, if you're single and you're ever in Denver, she was living in Nashville, I would love to take on a date. If you're not single and you've never been to Denver, just take this as a compliment. And she responded with, "I've never been to Denver, but I am single, and I am taking this as a compliment," or something. And then we kept talking, and I don't know how it happened. I mean, it's the best thing ever.
Did she know who you were when you messaged her?
No, she really didn't. And I believe that her mom did. And so she came to her mom and said, "I know this guy's name. Like, I recognize his name.
Yeah.
Mom, how do I know his name?" And she goes, "He was the Bachelor." And she goes, "Oh, yeah."
Does she ever like watch the seasons and
Goodness,
stuff?
no.
She never did.
She doesn't even ask me about it. Like, if she listened to this, she'd be like, "This is a lot more information than I've ever known." It is not a part of our like normal conversation. But she's been to some events with me. She's friends with some of the girls even on my season, which is awesome to see. Yeah. And she finds it funny, but it's a world that she does not know me from.
That's probably that's got to be the best case scenario.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's great. It brings some funny moments, but it also, for the most part, is just not a part of our life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of the new season focus for me. This is one of my final trips before becoming a dad.
Good for you, man.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats. Life's about to get pretty insane.
Yeah.
I was on dad duty all day today. So
there you go.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. The show's called Travis Makes Friends. We talked about a little bit about loneliness. We talk a lot about loneliness, making friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
On the show. Before we wrap up, what's your best advice for people in their mid to late 20s, mid to late 30s? How do you make friends?
How do you make friends? Well, I think I still kind of have a traditional view of that where I'll take, for example, if you're whatever city you're living in, whatever faith background you're joining a church, or also maybe joining a rec league. Or one of the coolest things, and one of the ways I've made some of my closest friends in Denver when I didn't have any friends there, was I had some things I was still passionate about, which is caring for people who were living on the streets. And so you go to the local shelter and you volunteer, and ultimately there's going to be other like-minded people there who are super interesting. They're receiving the service or also, volunteering.
Yeah.
It's, I think, finding the things you're passionate about, even as an adult, and jumping into those things within your community.
Yeah.
To get involved in the community. I think that's the best way to start to make friends. And that can look a bunch of different ways. But that kind of takes the edge off too, where you're not going up to some random, it's like a dude in the bar and you're like, hey, you want to be my friend?
Yeah.
That doesn't really work. It's kind of creepy.
It feels weird.
It feels weird.
Yeah.
I've
like
never said yes
to
that. But just getting involved in things that you care about, I think, is a great way to enter into it.
Yeah. Love that, dude. That's a great perspective. But it feels like it gets more and more difficult the older you get to go make friends. But there's the pros to it, I think, would be exactly what you just said, where when you're younger, you don't really know exactly what your interests are. Like you might think you do, but when the older you get, the more you kind of start realizing like, that was actually kind of, my parents kind of pushed me into that. I don't really care about that anymore.
Yeah.
I actually care about these things. So the pool of potential friends is much, much smaller, but the good thing is, like, when you do meet those people, it's like, it's a little bit easier to start, building those relationships with those people.
Yeah. And I would close with this. If you're somebody who had great friendships in high school or college or elementary school, maybe shoot those people a text and just say you're, checking in on them.
Yeah.
Like, I think those people, I think most of us today have sat in many seasons of life where we feel isolated, alone. Like we don't have any deep connection. And I can't imagine how I would feel if somebody from 10 years in my past would text me and say, hey, I was just thinking about you. How you doing?
Yeah.
So maybe be that person for somebody else.
Great way to leave this conversation. Ben, thanks so much for doing this. Everybody watching, listening, tuning in, go follow Ben. Tell him what's up. Tell him you heard about him here on the show. And remember, as always, leave every relationship better than you found it. Catch you next time. Peace.